Today's video is taken from a recent webinar where we showed how, using the PSM4, you can accelerate machine trials on the paper machine. Here are the best bits.
Okay, so having got across the tools that we're going to apply to try and save ourselves some money, let's look at our first opportunity, and that is let's accelerate some machine trials. Now, normally machine trials take perhaps a shift, maybe a bit longer, maybe a shift and a half, 2 shifts, and the performance, the product quality is a bit risky. So really we're going to have to be prepared to give away some of that quality as well. The advantage of measuring every second as the reel is being built up is that we can see trends very quickly and we can collapse the time scale of the trial. I think that makes sense. So spend a second and have a look at this plot. The blue line represents the top of reel results for MD/CD tensile ratio. This was a rush drag trial on a paper machine. The red trace represents the online stiffness tester, PSM4, that we used during the trial. And apart from the fact that you can see that they correlate very well, hopefully you can see that there's a lot more detail in the red trace and a lot less high scale variability. This means that we could do a rush drag trial theoretically within a reel if we were able to change the rush drag setting fast enough, because you're measuring every second. The other really great thing about this plot is see how the red plot, as the MD/CD tensile ratio drops from 2.3 to 1.8, can you see how the noise, the fast frequency noise, gets greater? That's real property variation. As the sheet gets squarer, we all know that the sheet and runnability gets less stable, and you're actually seeing it in real time here. So probably there's an optimal point that you would want to operate to minimize that instability on the paper machine while getting all the properties and squareness that you're after. Here's another example how we might be able to accelerate machine trials. Refiner trials. In this case, we're looking at burst strength, and you can see when the refiner trial started. And it's clear from the blue trace, which is the continuous measure on the paper machine, that there was some effect, although it was pretty small, 660 to about 680, so 20 units. That's very hard to see top of roll measurement, because the top of roll measurement has a lack of confidence associated with each measurement, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's representative. So what that means is you have to do a lot more top of roll measurements to try and decide whether a refiner trial is working or not. Well, that's wasteful, that's risky, and there's no guarantee at the end of the trial that you'll have a conclusion that you can use. Whereas the blue line, which is the continuous measure, every second we're measuring that, and you can see the trend is very clear. So typically on a paper machine throughout a year, I would say that you could well save about 1/3 of a million, 0.3 of a million a year by accelerating, compressing the trials that you run on the paper machine. And that's not looking at how the effectiveness of the trial ultimately brings profitability to the paper machine.